Toronto's real estate market in 2025 is going to be wild, and my predictions might shock you. So these 5 predictions, they're very bold, could change everything about how you buy or sell next year. Let's dive in. Prediction number 1, home prices will remain flat until summer of 2025, and it will creep up slowly starting in the fall of 2025. Why? The government. You see, there will be an election in the fall of 2025, and liberals or conservatives, regardless of who gets elected, will play smart. They will do whatever they can to make the voters happy. So they're going to be pumping out positive news and bringing confidence back, or rolling out new policies to keep everyone happy, boost confidence, and that paired with lower interest rates will definitely bring back more buyers. Speaking of lower interest rates, it brings me to my second prediction. Canada is going into a recession, and our unemployment numbers will rise come next year. So that means Bank of Canada will do whatever they can to cut interest rates. My prediction is that Bank of Canada will cut rates at least 3 times, from 1% to 1.5% in total. Now, the rate cut depends on how bad the economy gets. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Dilyar, you just told me that unemployment rate will go up, and you're telling me home prices could also go up? Well, let me quickly show you this chart. You see, people lie, but data doesn't. And I can show you about 20 years of data right here. If you look at the unemployment rate today, which is at 6.8% as of last month. Now, if you were to look at the unemployment rate over the last 20 years, and I want you to focus on the financial crisis here between 2007 and 2010, unemployment rate was at 8.5% at the highest, to 7% roughly at its lowest. And you will notice that the unemployment rate consistently stayed above 7% mark up until 2017, where it dropped down to 6.5%. And during these times, home prices continued to rise in the Canadian markets, especially here in Ontario. And the 6.8% unemployment rate is relatively low for what we consider a recession. But I do believe that 6.8% unemployment rate will go up to anywhere from 7 to 7.5% in 2025. So you're saying if unemployment goes up, it should mean the prices will come down. Well, if you're thinking why prices continue to rise despite the unemployment numbers, let me explain. It's immigration. You see, Canadian real estate market is heavily dependent on immigration. One can argue that the Canadian economy is heavily dependent on immigration. And regardless of which party gets elected next year, they will not halt immigration. Now, they might slow down the pace of immigration, but it will still grow. And that will fuel demand in the bigger provinces like Ontario and BC and possibly Alberta. I predict that in 2025, we're gonna close the year with 80 to 85,000 homes sold in the resale space. Now, who's driving this? Number 1 is gonna be the first-time buyers who have waited on the sidelines in the last couple of years, now seeing that the prices have gone slightly better and interest rates have gone down quite a bit. They may be out there looking again. And then the second segment is going to be upsizers looking for bigger homes. But here's the catch. I think the investors will just hold off and stay on the sidelines in the majority of 2025 just based on how the economy is doing. Speaking of investors, my prediction number 4, condo market will continue to suffer in 2025. I believe the average prices for condos will drop in 2025. And if we're talking about Toronto, I believe the smaller units, the 1 bedrooms and 1+ dens, will get worse before it gets better, and the bigger units will do okay. But when I say condos, everyone thinks of Toronto condos just because of all the high rises. But I think the real hit for condos will happen in the 905s. The 905s or the suburbs, especially those high-rise condos and those really compact small units, will take a huge hit in 2025. The reason why I say this is because during COVID, there was a lot of pre-construction projects in these suburbs, and they were selling for a lot of money and thinking that, all these suburbs were going to turn into downtown Toronto in the span of 2 years, but that didn't happen. So I think there will be a lot of vacant units in these suburbs for renting. The rent prices will drop, and the prices of these condos, actual unit prices, will drop as well. But on the flip side, I think the low-rise condos or the bigger units will do just fine, because In the suburbs or in the 905s here, the low-rise condos are typically attractive to downsizers who sell their big homes and moving into a nice little apartment. So if you have a condo that has good enough space or in a not a super busy investor-heavy building, I think you will be fine. My prediction number 5, the cottage market will tank. You see, when things get really tough, people first try selling things they don't need, not the house that they live in. Even though they may have overpaid a couple of years ago for the home that they live in, they will do what they can to keep it, but they sell off the things that they don't need, like trailers, motorhomes, expensive watches, and cottages or recreational properties. Now, the cottage market is a huge market of its own, but I do think that bigger markets like the Muskokas or the really prime areas will do fine. But if you bought a cottage or people that have cottages in the middle of nowhere will continue to suffer. And I know those markets have already come down quite a bit, but it will come down even more, judging by based on how the economy is going to do next year. And that's it for today. Those are my 5 bold predictions. I don't know if you agree or disagree with them. Again, these are just my predictions and my opinions. Don't do anything crazy with them. If you want to sit down and talk to me about your real estate plans, I highly recommend you do so by clicking on the link in my bio. We can schedule a one-on-one conversation, phone call, sit-down meeting, whatever you like to discuss your goals for 2025. Once again, my name is Dilyar Murad. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.